Hello to everyone. Now we start another topic, and this is topic 3. And this is about creative and innovative thinking. So we look into whether you have already what is known as creative and innovative thinking, and if whether we can help out in making your creative and innovative thinking much better in coming up with innovations. Basically, what is found in these slides are actually uh, normal understanding about creative and innovative thinking. Just put it in analogy that you already know how to walk. It's just like if you are requested to walk in the catwalk, the fashion show. So, can you do that kind of uh, uh, interesting walk rather than what you are doing every day? It may seem like easy, but actually, when you get to the catwalk, you will see that it needs a certain finesse, certain training. And consider this topic is about obtaining that training in order to have better creative and innovative thinking. Here's the learning outcome. It is to look into the importance of creativity in business, and then looking into how to generate ideas by using some techniques, and then to identify strategies of creativity and innovative thinking. So here's the outline. We're going to look into many topics, subtopics, for you to understand better in terms of this creativity as well as innovative thinking. In basically, it's all going to be more of a storytelling for me to make you understand all these definition terms by giving story, because not much in terms of the facts, very measurable facts are actually found within these slides to come. So I'm going to relate it with some stories so you can have a better understanding. So here, given the definitions of creativity, innovation, and then maybe I will tell you about some of the innovation that actually made importance in our daily life. Okay, creativity is defined as thinking new things. Okay, so it's basically thinking only. So not yet come to the level of tangible product or service yet. Okay, so to think and develop new ideas, and then to discover new ways of looking at problems and opportunities. Okay, hopefully when you come up with creativity, uh, coming up with new ideas, you have the opportunity in mind, whether the idea has some either financial gain or some, make you famous. That kind of opportunity is actually also been the end result. Okay, and then innovation is doing new thing, the ability to apply creative solution to those problem and opportunities in order to enhance people lives or to enrich society. So look like innovation is doing it rather than just thinking about it, and therefore coming up with some tangible product or services for betterment of the society. In this context, there are many innovation that actually landed in the society and made a huge difference. To name a few, like the Thomas Edison light bulb. Before light bulbs and electricity, we were actually, using candles most of the time to light up the house. And then also you have the Alexander Graham Bell invention of telephone. Okay, so made it so good to actually send voices into far distance when you are, being away from another person. Then also came the significant discovery of television. Okay, so therefore you get to see easily, movies, sports without even being in the sports at all. Yeah. And then came, internet. Internet was the amazing discovery. And then came, other things related to internet, Wi-Fi, even video conferencing. So you can see many, many things have come about because of somebody's creativity, which then finally became successful, tangible innovations. So you can read more about what is creativity based on the URL given there. But according to the site, basically creativity have four elements, which is knowledge, desire to know, imagination, and then evaluation. So looks like a person with lots of knowledge will end up with a desire to know more, and then come up with something of new area of discovery, and then will tend to evaluate whether it is have anything of importance to the society. So it's like that. Okay, and then a level of creativity is put into three levels. First, the discovery, and then to invent, probably to come up with physically the discovery made, uh, like how watching of the birds fly made a person to think about inventing the wings for an aeroplane, uh, because observing and then putting together, and then lastly creating the aeroplane itself. So this is one level after the other until real creation is achieved altogether. Right. This is a flow on process of creativity, but it not should not be in this way for every single person. One person to the other may have a different way of coming up with creativity. So find your best way, and then derive to this level. I'm not going to go in detail about the flow chart, but basically looks like you have to observe, and then have some idea, the area where you want to create into idea, and then increase knowledge on that area. Maybe Google, go for looking at journals. Okay, and then when you do decide, make sure it's not biased. Okay, you be critical. You be if it's not going to be worthy to pursue further, then don't make it an idea yet, and then brainstorm to be having not only one idea, many ideas within that area of opportunity, and then finally decide on either to invent, go ahead with that final idea, or go back to basic, recreate another sets of ideas and achieve it again, this flow. Okay, hopefully that have some, as I said, it's all up to you on how to come to ability to have creativity in within you. Okay, push come to shove, you will find a way to be creative. That's what I'm saying. When you are forced to, definitely there is a way you will come with ideas which are quite fruitful itself in the end. So another process of creativity. These are sets of process or steps being put together to give an idea to anyone on how to be creative. But again, not necessarily you must use, these five steps. Okay, it's all how you yourself come to the ability of a system that often works for you. Okay? For this system, it is a five-stage system and looks into preparation, maybe looking into getting all the knowledge and all the scholarly information that is available, and then incubate, and then taking time to digest it if you can, and then out of nowhere, or with some effort from you, voila, or aha, you get that important idea coming to you, eh? And then evaluate whether it's doable, feasible, and then finally implement to be a workable idea itself, whether it can be created. Okay, so this is one flow. Uh, you know, People like Thomas Edison, he had the idea of illuminating the room with electricity bulb, powered by electricity, the bulb, and he had thousands of failures, trial and trial after trial, until one day, probably the aha illumination, he had that idea that the inside of the bulb that houses the filament need to have a vacuum area, therefore the filament will not burn out. So you know that is after thousands of trials, only then he realized need to be vacuum condition. Okay? So imagine that's the level of creativity that you don't give up on. Next, we look at the importance of creativity. Is it really important to keep having creative ideas, out of nowhere? Some even say it's a stupid idea, not worth it, to take the uh, blame if it fail, or even so much of effort need to be done, like Thomas Edison, you know, uh, just to come up with a small light bulb, have to again and again keep at it until find out the solution. Or like Orville and Wilbur writes, going up with prototypes after prototypes of aeroplane models and then crashing. Why want to have this creativity in mind? Is it really going to be helping the world? The answer seems to be definitely yes, even though many failures came about before some become successful. Okay, so here some been put there in terms of why creativity ideas or creative ideas are important. Firstly, business are facing deep changes now, even with the unexpected pandemic of COVID-19. Many businesses have been facing changes. Okay, uh, gone are the days, a country then can just rely on agriculture, like we grow rubber trees, or we mine tin, or we just rely on putting a pipe under the ground and coming out with oil, or below the seabed for oil. Okay, now the mentality is about downstreaming. Okay, I'm sure there are engineering students here, so understand the meaning of downstreaming. Okay, so downstreaming basically uh, more effort rather than just putting a pipe and come with crude petrol and then just processing it to become petrol. Instead, the crude petrol need to be downstream to become other products. You can make paraffin, you can make soap out of petrol, crude petrol. So these are the downstreaming products. That means creating more industry from one major industry of oil and gas. So that's the thing of the future. In order to sustain growth of economy of any country, need to look into downstreaming. Like a rubber tree, we've been at fault of not looking into uh, products that can come about from rubber, rather than just selling it as a crude rubber into to other countries. And then that's why the rubber price got affected when synthetic rubber came about and gave some major competition. So that's the thing. Okay. And then creativity needs to be keep on coming because of globalization. Things are getting, like the, words there, everywhere, every when. We can reach every part of the world from Malaysia because of Internet of Things have come about, and then better logistic in terms of uh, uh, courier. So everything has come about that we are in a very good time to come up with creative ideas, and then can immediately sell it to the global level itself, not only confined to within the country alone. Okay? And then competition. I give you an example of competition is in Japan, their car industries are amazing. In German, the car industry is also amazing. And in Italy, the car industry is amazing simply because they have competition. You have in Japan, Honda, Toyota, Nissan, all compete and make better and better cars. Sometimes Toyota wins, sometimes Honda wins. eh? So that only better themselves to a level of higher quality day by day. Similarly, like Italy, of course, they are more of sports cars. You have Ferrari, um, you have Lamborghinis, so they also compete. And in German, they have Mercedes and BMW, always competing and coming up with their own identity. So creativity is always encouraged because of competition. And then all this creativity is the key to success of business. Looks like creativity is ongoing and dynamic part of businesses. So no, there should not be any doubt in terms of why creative idea need to be there again and again for the future of mankind itself. Okay, we are the only organism in the whole world that actually uses tools for our daily life, and that is why we have to have creativity for newer product or newer services. This slide is continuation of the previous slide. Is also looking into the importance of creativity, but this one is into the company itself. Okay? Looks like company can benefit if creativity is always encouraged. Therefore, the boss needs to ensure the staff is always coming up with ideas and not blocked with innovations. Okay, so either the boss or the staff need to be always coming up with creativity and bold enough to try out the ideas. Okay, so to give you more stories about it, look at ideas that came about due to Air Asia. During the Air Asia time itself, they already have a low cost carrier historically, but Air Asia went in a different direction where they innovate the pricing to be very interesting for customers and to fly, uh, and then made everybody can fly. Okay, so that's one idea. And then in Indonesia, yeah, the guy who came up with Gojek, Gojek apps, where he every day went to work by using becoming a pillion, riding behind motorbikes in Indonesia by paying, of course. Then realize, or they, if you've been to Indonesia like me, there is also these rickshaws, either having moto to it, or just having pedaling bicycle. Okay, most of it have the motorbike attached to the uh, passenger sitting area. Okay, so so he went every day, and he thought, uh, why not I come up? He's a IT guy. Why not I come up with these apps, just like Uber, just like Grab, and to call it Gojek, and that picked up quite a bit. And I think this guy's wealth at the moment is more than 1 billion. I think he sold it off to another person, but his wealth is, accumulated to 1 billion because of the Gojek. Uh, we think about, Uber, Grab for cars, but this guy, saw that in Indonesia, so many bikes, so many bicycles, so many of these rickshaw. I'm not sure whether I'm saying the correct term for the rickshaw, but that's what he decided to come with apps. So these are all ability to be creative and then solve certain problems and taking opportunity. Okay? Uh, so that's, I hope you understand by me giving stories rather. Okay. So again, continuation, to solve problem and to produce better idea. That is the purpose of creativity. Okay. If your company is only looking into trading, taking say rice, different type of rice, and then packaging it and then selling, that's trading. So no need to have creativity there. Only maybe the way to pack. uh. But if your company is dealing with innovations or new product to stay ahead of the game from the competitors, then you need to have these ways to boost creativity. Yeah. You know, you might have a department of a few people, and then make sure you reward them for every creativity given by that department. If you don't have a department specifically for, say R&D, many companies in Malaysia do not have a R&D company, R&D unit, okay, in a company, because it's expensive to develop R&D unit. So you must ensure, if anybody, even the cleaner or the gardener, come up with a creative idea, firstly listen to them, and then if it's an idea, reward them. You don't want them to have, very saddened after you take their idea, so they feel like intellectual property of theirs is, stolen by you. Okay? And then hire the right employee. The Always hire merit people with uh, skills they have learned either in academic, uh, high achievers. Some people, bosses, they scared to hire people with better CGPA than them. So uh, up to you. If you can hire all with intellectual, high achievers, staff, see where the company goes. You have to decide. And then just now I say, even the gardener come up with idea, never say never. Uh, and then like Google, they give flexible hours to be intrapreneurs, 20% of the time allocated for ideas, new ideas. And then look into proper training to improve the skills of your existing workers. Okay, you don't want to take high CGPA staff in your company, but keep giving training to make them one day to be great as well, because the quality is important for the growth of your company as well. Okay, here, the characteristics. Is there characteristics of someone who is very creative? So they have studied it, and then they in this website or the URL there, they have put these characteristics of individuals having high creativity. Okay, so if you are very curious, uh, it tends to be leading towards you being creative. Okay, and then of course you work in a organization. I remember I was very curious in my first ever job after leaving the university. uh, and then the boss became very worried and scared. He actually asked me to leave the company because I was curious to know how this department works, how that department works. So be careful, don't be overly curious until you are penalized. Okay, and then seek problems. So instead of running away from problems, uh, look like creative people. Be daring to face problems and find solution, and that's where they innovate. And then same goes with enjoy challenges. I tend to see uh, people who are highly educated, going F degree, masters, or whatever, they become less of a risk takers. While people who did not go to university or even drop out from school, they are brave to venture, anything, like fully jump in first and then figure out what to do. So that also maybe gives them more chances to become entrepreneur rather than someone like you in a university, always worried to take risk. Always, I just happy to just work in a 9 to 5 job lah. Don't want any of risk. Then what if start the business bankrupt straight away? Okay, so that also I noticed. So that's under the context of optimistic. Also can be optimistic. More optimistic you are, more creativity comes along. Okay, and then able to suspend judgment. Okay, sometimes creativity will come with certain so-called might be judged as stupid by other people, but the person who come up with that idea, they don't care. They suspend that judgment. They do just carry on with their idea. And amazingly, like Elon Musk coming up with electric cars during times where petrol cars are actually doing so well. uh, but yet he penetrated that market, and now he's actually doing very well in electric cars. He did it in a different way than previous manufacturers of, they call it EV, electric vehicle. Okay? So that's the difference. And then imaginative, going sometimes overly imaginative, but must stick to the reality. uh, and then seeing problem as opportunity. Usually, all these entrepreneurs have ability. You see it as a problem, but they see it as an opportunity. So that's how they come up with innovation. And then, of course, this last trait is never to give up easily. Again, going back to the Thomas Edison story, where the guy is amazing, kept at it, and then finally discovered the light bulb. Okay? Right. So more on the characteristics that has been studied on all these creative people. So they put it here, but this one a bit scary, because if you read through all the, like, risk takers, dare to fail, willing to be different, to become a divergent, also like differently, uh, you know, like only one fella come up with that thoughts, not following like a big group majority think this way, and he alone sitting on that corner think differently. That's the meaning of divergent. And then impulsive, fickle, all sort of like sound like a stuntman rather than entrepreneur looking into creative ideas. Okay, but this is what one of the studies have arrived in terms of characteristics of creative people. Example is Steve Jobs, the guy who's the CEO of Apple, who came up with iPhone and iPad. He probably in this line of thoughts when he came up with these products. But I do worry if too much engrossed in these characteristics, they could be failures as well rather than success. Okay, so be careful. All right. Of course, I often have this student activity. So same here. I have a student activity in the classroom. Of course, will let you to do it, and then I don't think it takes 10 minutes, but around that time itself, depending on individual to individual. Do take up this activity at the web's URL there. I think I did not do very well. I think they're supposed to score 62 uh, marks or percent and above to be known as creative. And I think I did around 58. Uh, but my son did around 72, I think 72, scored well in terms of being having a creative mind. So have a go at it and see whether you are creative. If not scored well like me, maybe need to improve on creativity. Okay, so please have a try. So, hopefully you did well in the student activity, but if you did very low compared to what was, said to be good marks, maybe we can look into how to make you better in terms of generating idea to be creative. Okay, so the elements in looking into ideas is solving problems, and then making sure the solution is unique, clear and focused. Maybe need to ensure that it is doable, reachable. The resources are uh, there, or if not there, can be found. Okay, not entirely beyond the capability of out of the world, and must go to the space to get the resources. Okay, to make the product. Okay, and then innovative in its approach rather than duplication. Okay, and then one key I underline there, uh, you don't want to come up with idea, then in the end, it's not profitable unless you're doing social work. Then okay, profit shouldn't be the criteria in deciding on the idea to venture. Okay, but overall, as entrepreneurs, profit is what is the end target. So hopefully that is also looked into. Here, given some uh, sources of coming up with ideas, is it come in your brain alone, like thinking hard, uh, or is it sometimes is subconscious? In my own experience, I feel like my best thoughts of ideas actually come about out of the blue. Just like driving, or like one idea I tell you. I work with snake venoms, snakes. So I work the venom. We have somebody to milk the venom. So I've been working on the toxic or lethality of the venom, but always looking into how to make use of the venom for the goodness of human, something useful for mankind. Okay? So, but they are. I'm not the only one have done it. They have used the snake venom for cancer, for antimicrobial studies. Even I have done it. So, in trying to innovate to new area, I was watching a video, YouTube video on use of milking of a snake, quite a big snake actually, a cobra, and then they take that venom and pour it into blood, fresh blood, okay? And then it just became hardened, coagulated, okay? It became hard, from liquid it become semi like gel. So that kept uh, created the thoughts to me. So why not I innovate that idea, but instead of the blood, I took the venom because I have much of a storage of different types of venom. I just took some venom, the cobra venom, and then put it into fresh milk. To my surprise, it coagulated, became like yogurt. So from that, we then took snake venom to coagulate milk into become curd, they call it. Okay? For the use of human beings. But of course, need to separate the entity found in the snake venom. Snake venom is a combination of a few proteins. So need to isolate the enzyme that is responsible in coagulating milk to curd and then become maybe cheese or yogurt. So the work does not stop at using the venom alone. Okay? But after effort, we did isolate it, but we realized to commercialize it, it's not that easy because people have still the thought of the snake venom. But from that idea, I then moved to using plants that can now coagulate milk to curd. Usually, they will use the stomach enzyme of young calf. But now I thought of using plants after working on snake venom, and then we found a few plants. Very difficult to find the plants, but we found it to be useful to change milk to curd, and therefore become yogurt or cheese. So my story is amazingly ideas can be coming about by observing maybe YouTube videos, or you know uh, with talks with someone, or going to exhibition. You have so many booths. You can take the pamphlet and then later study. Maybe it will give you the aha, or wow, whatever feeling that will give you some innovation. So that's been put here. Where to get ideas? Sometimes a simple, sleeping and waking up, also you will get ideas. Suddenly waking up with the idea, probably dreaming about it. So here, given the idea of generating how to get ideas by using these steps, you may want to go through it on your own. So I said before, sometimes you have your own way, own system, own steps. So use it and encourage it if it works. And therefore, all the time, look into that system or the steps of your own. Doesn't have to be in the steps that is given here. Okay, uh, everybody will be coming up with ideas. Okay, I give you another story. This is a real life story, you may call it. My friend was, he finished his studies, school days, Form 6, and then his father is very rich. So he literally bought a seat in to do MBBS. He did well, not as good as me, but he's still, reluctant to be a doctor. His father forced him to be a doctor. Eventually, but this son, he likes to do business. Uh, his brother was given the honor to be chairing all the business of his father, but not him. So he was a bit upset. But after 5 years, it takes 5 years to get a degree in MBBS. Then he came back. His father, of course, very rich, give the money to open clinic in Taipan, in PJ, bought the clinic probably. But his thoughts of doing business is always there behind him. Want to be as successful as his brother. He used that career in making it into a successful business. What I hear now is he kept on buying clinics in areas in Selangor, and now he got 8 clinics. So he doesn't need to be the physician or doctor. They call it GP, general practices, general physicians, as a doctor sitting there looking at patients. You just have to run the business of that 8 clinics and then develop further. So, what turned out to be just an forced upon in to him, he has diversified. So it takes a little bit idea from him, right, to go towards making a panel of clinics. So more on how to method of generating ideas here given, many suggestion given, brainstorm, crack your brains, or within like a group, like a focus group, a few people. Have you seen where in TV they will be in circle, they put the chairs in circle, sitting there talking about the same subject, and then calming themselves in this idea, in this context, to generate ideas. You sit there, spend like hours in a room, in an office, make sure come up with ideas before going back, like that. Or interview with questionnaire, observation, like I said, watching the birds flying, finally get the idea how the wing of the aeroplane should be. And then in my case, although I saw the YouTube video on the snake venom being used to coagulate blood, to become from liquid to semi-gel, then taking the idea to adopt into my milk coagulation, fresh milk. Okay, but I need to do research. So I did. After that, appoint a few FYP students and then a master student to work on the snake venom until able to isolate the one particular enzyme. So already published also. So these are ideas, where to generate method of coming up with these ideas itself. So looks like when you have innovation, it can be also put together into these categories for different types of innovation. I think invention is the most difficult one because you have to come up with totally new idea altogether, and therefore invention is quite difficult. But if you have come up with invention, therefore, let me give you an example of how I can explain invention, extension, duplication, and synthesis. Okay, the telephone, right? So, Alexander Graham Bell, before there was telephone, this guy need to come up with totally out of no reference at all about coming up with telephone. So that's novel altogether. So he invented telephone, and this is like landline. Nowadays, don't even have landline in houses. So physically, a phone is found at the table in the house. One house, one telephone. If you have another room, it's an extension. Okay, so that's telephone. Okay, he came up with invention. Then you have extension. From this telephone landline, somebody came up with the phone, handphone. Okay, so he extended from the landline to be a handphone. Like you remember the Nokia 3210, only useful to carry around big, bulky, or Motorola. Just click, 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 and then call anywhere uh, from the uh, from the petrol station, from school, on the road, everywhere. No need to be inside the house. No more connected to the house. Okay, that's extension. Then duplication. You want to take the phone, and like what Steve Jobs did, he made it into a smartphone, where more than just calling someone, where it can be used like a mini computer. You can have Google in it, you can have WhatsApp in it. So it became a smartphone, from handphone to smartphone. And then to explain synthesis, I give uh, an idea. Innovate. It's not there yet, I think. So synthesis is combining maybe two already existing ideas. Let me give an idea. Maybe a smartphone now has a like a modular phone, a modular smartphone, you can call it, okay, where you merge a smartphone with a laptop, or what concept you have in an iPad with a smartphone, where whenever you need a keyboard, you just connect to the smartphone, or you need a screen connected, so it's modular. You want a printer connected, a pen drive connect to the smartphone whenever you need it only. Okay, so that's maybe my idea, or whether it's existing, you don't know. You can take it to the next level, call it a modular smartphone, where it can replace the laptop altogether. So I hope by that example, it makes you understand the type of innovation that is available. So here given, so far we already learned how to get into the steps of creativity and then innovation. However, there are barriers that in any company, organization, or within yourself itself. These are all put here, the barriers for creativity. Many could be also found within a person itself, or in a group itself. So many given here, like group dominance. Sometimes you work in an organization, there are few groups grouping already in that company, and then got one very dominant group, but whether they are actually they could put down the other group, the weaker one, but you never know. Maybe the dominant group does not have creativity as good as the one keeping quiet because of the dominance. So these are ideas, or the barriers that is found to have creativity come out rather than being kept inside. Okay, so that's one example I'm going to give. There are many more, as I think it's quite straightforward to understand each one of these, how it stops creativity altogether. This is same as a few slides ago, in how to have the strategies to be creative and innovative. How you suddenly come up with ideas. Yeah? Like I just now say, driving, sleeping, and then waking up, you get ideas. Looks like found more here, but not in sequence, not in the order from top to bottom. You must, go through one after the other. Then only you get the idea. Anyone will be a person's. It depends on different individual, which is their style of obtaining ideas or creativity. Looks like even praying. Some of you pray, every day, 5 times a day. So it looks like take the opportunity to get ideas there. Meditate. Not many people do meditation, but looks like even meditation, you keep quiet, no thoughts, but don't know how idea can come without thoughts. I thought that's meditation because I don't do meditation, but it seems to also generate ideas, even exercise. So you are, actively using your energy. It seems to also give ideas. Anyway, possible. There are some even not even in this list, but definitely you have your own style. Okay, find out the style that gives you ideas. So we have come to the conclusion for this lecture. Basically, to conclude, it's creativity and innovation is important in business. You can't run away unless you're just doing a normal trading business. Buy and sell, no problem. But if you're looking into making product, tangible product, make sure you always improve on the product to stay in competition. Okay, and then creativity requires someone like an entrepreneur to add value in the marketplace. So importance of yeah, creativity is to develop the market itself. Okay, it's a dynamic process. The world needs creativity to keep development of the world itself. Okay, and then idea generation to successful product, and then launch. Innovation is the seabed for change, and change is important. We are looking into constantly changing, where I gave you the example of handphone, came from the landline and then became smartphone. So it must definitely go through that dynamic changes. So the job of entrepreneur does not stop in just coming up with one product. In fact, Steve Jobs never stopped at one, like iPhone, then he went to iPad, like that. Okay, so I hope you understand about the topic, this topic itself.